I have around 1400 hours in Rocket League. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? That shower has just not been touched in years. But the funny thing is, I've actually never gotten really close to the highest rank in this game, which gives me the question for this video. Is Rocket League truly the hardest game to be good at? Because millions of people seem to think so. So, let's talk about it. The mechanics. Just like a few other games, Rocket League has mechanics that you can learn and perfect, but the only difference is, in games like Valorant, as, you know, say someone nerfs one of the abilities, it could potentially kind of change the meta, or just make one of the other agents better, which is fine. Obviously a meta change is something that happens in a lot of games, but in Rocket League, the game's mechanics cannot really be nerfed, and, you know, if certain things were to get nerfed, it could create balancing issues in the game, or any of the gameplay gets nerfed, it could create balancing issues. I like this about the game, because obviously it pushes the players and the community to constantly have to adapt and change their meta themselves, such as like making newer mechanics, or, you know, new ways to gain speed faster, such as like the speed flip, which obviously came out a while ago, or wall dashing. Now, this makes the game ever-changing, and some freestylers are somehow creating shots that nobody would have ever thought about back in 2015. There's even a new thing called TAS, I'm pretty sure it's called that. Well, it's not exactly new, but it's crazy. It just lets you play and repeat a certain thing in a shot you're trying to do, like on screen right now, and create banging clips, which makes you think, if they can do it using TAS, is it possible doing it, you know, in free play, or maybe even in game? Obviously, you've got to be picture perfect with your movements, but it may be possible. To be good, like high level in this game, you need to obviously be smart, as previously mentioned in the thumbnail. I peaked mid GC2, and that at the moment is lower than 1% of the player base. So the people I was going against were pretty good. So obviously, to be good at this game, you have to be very smart, and, you know, you have to have a good IQ and be able to outsmart whoever you're going against. Obviously, in other games like Fortnite, you were doing kind of a similar version of this. Obviously, you could argue that Fortnite is a lot more difficult to be able to play, because obviously you've got a lot more to think about. You got building, you got aiming, but I feel like with Rocket League as a game, it could take so much to think about, and this game is like the only real game, in my opinion, that I feel if I actually take a break, I will genuinely be so much worse at the game and have to grind back to my actual rank that I was at previously. And when I go back to like COD or like Fortnite or whatever, it only really takes like a few hours and I'm kind of like back into the swing of things, at least somewhat. But with tons of mechanics you can learn, there is also another way you can rank up as well. And that's just by learning the basics. But, you know, you're obviously going to need to know pretty much everything, or at least somewhat of everything, to rank up anyway. If you can hit a triple musty, dusty, frosty, flip reset, but can't hit a decently powerful shot on net, we got some problems. And the meta is ever changing, and this could potentially be why myself, I'm not ranking up. One, because I'm not really playing the game enough anymore, and two is going to be because I'm not really up to date with the current mechanics. And the thing is with this game is you need to at least be playing the game, so you don't get left behind. The rank ladder is very different to most games, and it's really a big difference, or a big reason, as to why the games are so competitive. And also broken, because there is no doubt about Rocket League being a pretty competitive game. Everyone really just playing it to rank up and improve. Speaking of ranks, they are honestly some of the hardest or most difficult to get out of some of them, and have been like this for ages. As I mentioned in my last video, Champ 2 feels like an absolute trench to get out of. GC1 is kind of full up with like loads of different ranks. In some games you'll probably have the odd like, you know, diamond. And in some games you'd probably have the odd SSL from the last season or whatever in your lobby, which is, it's kind of random though, which makes it really difficult to actually rank up a little bit more, because sometimes you'll have the odd crazily mechanical player, crazy at everything, and then sometimes you'll have the really bad player. It's really random. You know, and the odds of you actually becoming pro in this game is just so much lower due to its like lower popularity than most games, and difficulty. I mean, that's if you even reach SSL, because there's only like 3,000 people that have it at the moment, which is crazy to beat, like crazy. To be SSL, you have to be lower than literally 0.15% of the community. And this is in 2s, by the way. In 1s, it's even lower, at about 0.01%. It's crazy. The game itself is a massive reason for the game being difficult. And if we are being honest, there is not really any other game that is remotely similar, apart from maybe like FIFA, but we all know what they're like in terms of gameplay.
Cheers, Jeff.
So the problem is, if you play a lot of shooters or story-based games, at least the skills that you had on them games could kind of transfer like a tiny bit. However, when I first played Rocket League, it was so confusing and just difficult, like, to even hit the ball. But this was probably the same for a lot of you, which means that you obviously have to build up the skills of the game from scratch, which makes it a lot slower to get better at than most games. Rocket League is definitely a difficult game with its difficult mechanics and gameplay that you have to learn for a while. Replaying this just the same shots or the same mechanics until you get it. And yeah, I wouldn't say this is the hardest game. Realistically, for some people it probably is up there. Me personally, I don't think this should really be a label of like most difficult game or most difficult title of a game. But like, you know, it could realistically go to any game. It just depends on the person. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure obviously subscribe, like, and obviously go check out another one of my videos because they're W's. And yeah, I'd appreciate it a lot. And I will see you guys in a bit. Peace.